The cat would not stop staring at the hallway. Its fur stood on end, and its mouth opened in a silent scream. When I followed its gaze, I realized the darkness at the end of the hall was moving toward me. I found the cat 3 weeks earlier on my apartment stairwell. Its thin gray fur, one torn ear, and eyes way too intelligent to belong to something feral. It followed me inside without hesitation and made itself at home, like it had been waiting for that door to open. I named it Ash. It slept beside my bed and watched every corner of the apartment with a quiet, intense focus. The building was old and narrow. Pipes knocked through the walls at night. Its floors creaked with the weight of unseen neighbors. I worked late shifts and came home exhausted, but Ash always stayed awake while I slept. I used to joke that it was guarding me. The first warning came on a Tuesday night. Ash sat rigid on the kitchen counter, staring at the sink. Its pupils were wide, and a low growl vibrated from its chest. I turned on the faucet to prove nothing was there. The sound of running water drowned out the growl, but then Ash hissed and fled under the table. That night, I dreamed of water filling my lungs. The second warning came a few days later. Kosh was blocking my bedroom door. Its claws dug into the carpet as it hissed and spat at the empty hallway beyond. The air felt colder there, thick, heavy, like a breath held for too long. I stepped over the cat and opened the door wide. Nothing. Ash fled again and hid until morning. I started noticing other things, shadows that lingered after the lights were turned on, the smell of damp earth seeping from the vents, scratching sounds behind the walls that followed me from room to room. Ash tracked it all with unblinking eyes. One night, I woke to the sound of whispering, soft and rhythmic. The words brushed the edge of understanding, but slipped away when I tried to focus. Ash was sitting on my chest, pinning me down. It stared at the ceiling, hissing with its mouth wide open. The whispering stopped. I laughed it off the next day. Stress, lack of sleep, old buildings make weird noises. Cats are strange creatures. I ignored the way Ash refused to leave my side, how it flinched whenever the hallway light flickered, but the warnings grew louder. Ash started clawing at the bathroom door whenever I showered, howling until my skin crawled. When I finally pulled back the curtain, I saw handprints on the fogged mirror behind me. The fingers were too long, and there were too many. They faded as I stared. I just cleaned the mirror and told no one. The apartment felt smaller with each passing day. The walls seemed closer, the ceiling lower, the shadows deeper. Ash would trace invisible shapes on the walls with its eyes, following something I couldn't see. One evening, I came home to find the front door wide open. Ash sat just inside, its body low, tail lashing back and forth. It didn't greet me, just stared into the dark apartment and screamed. I shut the door and turned on every light. Nothing looked disturbed. Ash didn't stop screaming until I locked myself in the bedroom. That night, the whispering returned, louder than before. It came from the hallway, from inside the walls, and from the floor beneath my bed. The words formed clearly this time. Day used my name. May promised rest, warmth, promised to take care of everything. Ash stood between me and the door, hissing until foam gathered at its mouth. I snapped. I yelled at the cat, told it to stop, to be quiet. I shoved it aside and yanked open the door to prove nothing was there. The hallway light flickered and went out. A bone-deep cold wrapped around my ankles like wet cloth. The whispering turned into breathing, slow, heavy, close. Something shifted in the darkness, tall enough to block what little light came from the bedroom. Ash leaped forward and sank its claws into my leg. It screamed louder than I had ever heard any animal scream. Pain flared, and I kicked it away without thinking. The moment the cat hit the wall, the breathing stopped. The hallway light flickered back on. The space was empty. I slammed the door shut and locked it, my hands shaking so badly I could barely stand. Ash didn't move from where it landed. Blood pooled beneath its small body. Its eyes were still open, fixed on the door. The whispering never returned after that. The apartment felt normal again. The shadows behaved. The air warmed. The pipes knocked in familiar rhythms. I buried Ash in a small patch of dirt behind the building and tried to forget the way its eyes never left the hallway, even in death. Weeks later, I woke up in the middle of the night to a familiar sound. Scratching, soft, patient, coming from the bedroom door. I sat up and listened. The scratching moved up the door, as if something small was standing on its hind legs, reaching higher. A low growl followed, familiar, loving. Ash's voice came through the wood. "Let me in." The handle began to turn. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for listening.